Junie Jones and the Mushy Gushy Valentine. Written by Barbara Park. Chapter 5. Valentine's Time. Valentine's Day came on Friday. And guess what? My grandma Helen Miller bought me a special Valentine's outfit, and it matched my heart antennas very perfect. That day at school, I skipped all around room 9, 'cause I was a treat for the eyes, I tell you. Finally, I sat in my seat, and Mrs. took attendance. And guess what? Nobody was absent, 'cause who wants to miss a party, that's why. After attendance, Mrs. put on a special Valentine's apron. It had a big heart pocket in the front. Then Mrs. filled the heart pocket with Valentine's cards from the box, and she delivered them to all of the children. And wait till you hear this. The very first Valentine was delivered to me, to Junie Jones, and it said my name right on the envelope. Yahoo! I shouted, real thrilled. I am first again, Mrs. Yahoo! Yahoo! After that, Mrs. kept on delivering cards until the whole Valentine's box was empty. Then all of us got to open up our cards, and it was as fun as a birthday party, I tell you. After Lucille finished opening her Valentines, she called Grace to our table. Come here, Grace. Come here and bring your Valentines. Then you and I can count our cards, and we'll see who got the most from the boys, she said. Grace came over. She smiled, kind of nervous. Well, okay, here goes, she said. Then Grace put all of her Valentines in front of me and Lucille, and she counted them one by one. Pretty soon, Grace wasn't smiling anymore. Rats, I knew I shouldn't have come over here, she said. Lucille grinned a teeny bit. Why, Grace? She asked. How many did you get? You have to tell me, Grace. How many? Grace did a big sigh. I only got 17, she said. I only got one card from every person, and that's all. No extras. Lucille's face lighted up very bright. She flipped her hair all around in the air. Gee, I am sorry to hear that, Grace, she said. Well, I suppose I should count mine now. After that, Lucille counted her cards in front of me and Grace. She counted them right out loud. 13, 14, 15, 16. All of a sudden, Lucille stopped counting, 'cause there was only one more Valentine left in her pile, that's why. She quick stood up at her seat and looked all around herself. First, she looked under the table. Then she looked on top of her chair and all over the floor. Also, she looked in her pockets, and her backpack, and her purse. Finally, she sat back down, real upset. I don't understand, she said. How could this be happening? Every day my Nana tells me how special I am, but 17 Valentines isn't special at all. 17 Valentines is just the same as everybody else. I did a sigh. Nanas, I said. You can't believe a word they say. Grace looked cheerier. Count yours, Junie. Count your Valentines and see if you got 17 like Lucille and me. Of course I got 17, silly Grace, I told her. Everybody in this whole room got 17. It was the rule, remember? After that, I put all my cards in a pile, and I counted them out loud, just like Lucille. I did a frown. Then I counted them again. And even again. And guess what? Somebody broke the rule, that's what. I springed up on my chair. All right, people, who didn't send me a Valentine? And do not try to deny it, because I've only got 16 cards in my pile. I pointed my finger at Meanie Jim. Was it you, mister? Huh? Are you the meanie head who didn't send me one? I looked all around. Or maybe it was you, Mr. Polly Allen Puffer. Or you, Charlotte, who I don't actually know your last name. Or you, Roger. Or... Just then, Mrs. swooped me off my chair. Do not stand on your chair, Junie B., she said. And please don't fight about Valentines. If someone didn't send you a card, it was just a mistake. No one would do something like that on purpose. I'm sure of it. After that, I sat back down in my seat, and I looked at that woman very curious. Because Mrs. is a nice teacher, but sometimes she doesn't understand children at all. Chapter 6. Bingo. I put my head down on my table, 'cause I needed to figure out who didn't send me a Valentine, that's why. I thinked and thinked real hard. Then, all of a sudden, I springed up. Lucille, I thinked of a plan. I thinked of how to find that guy. All I have to do is see the names of who signed my Valentines, 'cause whoever is missing is the person who didn't send me one. Lucille looked admiring at me. That is very smart of you, Junie B., she said. You should be on cops. I know it, I said back. My head is as sharp as a tack. After that, I got all of my Valentines in a pile, and me and Lucille looked at the people who signed them. We kept track of their names very good. Only too bad for me, 'cause 7 of my Valentines weren't even signed. Darn it, I said. Now what am I supposed to do? Just then I saw Mrs. hurrying to my table again. Junie B., I have some good news for you, she said. Guess what I've just found in the bottom of the Valentine's box? I sat up real quick, 'cause guessing games are my favorites, of course. A meatball, I said. Mrs. did a frown. No, Junie B., why would there be a meatball in the box? Think about it. What have people been putting in the Valentine's box all week? Valentine's cards, I said real smart. Right, she said. And how many Valentines did you get today? 16, I told her. Yes, she said. You were missing one, weren't you? And so, what do you think I found in the bottom of the box just now? This time I thought my hardest. A meatball, I said. Mrs. rolled her eyes up at the ceiling. Then I looked up there too, but I didn't see anything. Finally, Mrs. pulled a giant envelope from behind her back. No, this, Junie B., she said. This is what I found in the bottom of the box. I found this big envelope, and it's addressed to you. My mouth came open, very shocked. Then, all of a sudden, I clapped my hands, very thrilled. Hey, wait a second here. Maybe this could be my missing Valentine. Mrs. looked funny at me. Bingo, she said kind of soft. Yes, I shouted. Bingo, bingo, bingo. After that, I jumped up and down, and I danced all around, 'cause nobody broke the rule after all, and that was very nice of them. After I finished dancing, I opened up the envelope, and it was the beautifulest card I ever saw. It had lace and hearts all over the front, and a purple ribbon was weaved all around the edge. "Look, missus, look, it's a mushy gushy kind," I said. "I always wanted one of these things. Who sent it, huh? Read me their name, okay? Who sent it? Mrs. opened up the card and looked at the name. Then she laughed out loud. Well, it looks like you've got yourself a fan," she said. She ruffled my hair. "This card is signed from your secret admirer." I raised up my eyebrows. "Huh? What? Who?" Mrs. smiled. "A secret admirer is someone who likes you very much, but he's too shy to tell you," she explained. "I guess your Valentine's Day turned out pretty good after all, huh?" she said. "Yes, my Valentine's Day turned out almost perfect," I said. "Now, all I have to do is figure out who my secret admirer is, and I will be in business." After that, I put my head on my table, and I closed my eyes. 'Cause I needed to think of another plan, of course.